Chris Popper here in Bangor. I'm joined by Matt Haney in a very quiet MDI high school. Matt, this isn't how you planned on starting the school year with kids 100% remote.
No, it is not how we had hoped to do that. As much as we had, as excited as we were to get through the fall, being able to have really no days that we had to shift to remote, other than the first 3 weeks when we had it planned out. We were really excited about that, and as things played out during the 2-week break we had, things changed to the point that we did have to make this change. We were ready. We'd been planning for this all along, and teachers have been essentially teaching half of the students, or a little more than half the students, remotely as we went on. So for the high school, it wasn't as big a shift for everybody as it has been for the K-8 schools. And that being said, it's really still, there's an awful lot missing in a school when there are no students in it. And like you say, I'm sitting in a pretty lonely place right now.
Today, January 5th, marks the 300th day since COVID was first detected in Maine. And based upon the latest numbers I've seen, there are 22 new cases in Hancock County yesterday. We did talk with Superintendent Gauss yesterday, and I mean, I know kids in school are doing the right things, teachers and kids and staff and everyone. I mean, they're wearing their masks, or they're washing their hands. That has to continue out in the community.
Yes, it does. It's really important that, just for the sake of our schools and just the sake of our community and our world, people just like you say, they have to pay attention to those mitigation strategies, and that includes, like you said, washing your hands and wearing a mask. The other, we kind of go with the 4 W's. Watch your health. Don't go places if you're sick. And watch your distance. That means staying away from people that you're around, and also only being around people that aren't in your own household when you have to. That's an important part of that piece too. And so when we're able to get back to school, the sooner we can, the better. And those are the things that we can all do. And it's shown that it works, because there hasn't been any evidence of any sort of transmission within any of our schools. Anytime there's been a positive case, none of the people who were considered close contacts have tested positive to this point. That includes both through activities and athletics and school and all of those things. That really has been shown that if you are able to, and the big, those big 4 things: keep your distance, watch your health, don't show up when you're sick, wash your hands, wear a mask. Those things do, by and large, work right now.
The thing is, people are just overwhelmed. I mean, I know how difficult it is. I mean, my wife's a school teacher. It is, and for 300 and some days since early March, we've been in this pandemic, and with the social isolation, and people just aren't meant to be socially isolated.
No, humans are definitely, many of us are social beings. And I guess I want to say, while it seems kind of disappointing and bleak right now in our area, I think if you look around the world, or look around other places in our state and our country, it's more bleak. And I think that can be a testament to the great work that so many people in our communities have done, doing those, following those guidelines that I was talking about. And really, it's an indication of sacrifice that people are making, not just for themselves, but for other people in our community, whether those people in our community are those who are more at risk of either contracting or of significant complications if they contract the disease, making that sacrifice so our young people can continue to learn and can continue to do the things that they love, that keep them connected, which is going to make a big difference in our society for all the years of their lives. And so it is a question of sacrifice, and it has been going on for what seems like ages. And we've got to hang in there, because as we keep hearing, the newest cliche is there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we're still in a tunnel. That follows the cliches of unprecedented times. That was the big catchphrase. And then abundance of caution was another catchphrase. Well, now we're in the tunnel still, even though there's a light. So that's where we're at. We got to keep making those sacrifices for each other.
And I guess, the best thing my generation, I'm 60 years old. I never had to make a big sacrifice. My grandparents, and I think to the extent my parents, they probably not so much my parents, but my grandparents. I mean, they were in World War II. They remember there was the bombings. There was you had to turn everything off at night. You couldn't go out. I mean, this is really not to I guess make it similar or to draw that analogy, but I guess that's the closest analogy we can draw. I mean, this is really shared sacrifice. This is, depression type, pull together, look out for your neighbor, help those around you, but stay socially distanced so we can not get hit by the train from the light, but we actually see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, and it's a lot to ask. It really is, and I hadn't thought of it in the terms of greater sacrifice. And yeah, my grandfathers were both in World War II. My dad was in Vietnam. My mom tells stories about she lived in Bangor she lived in the van just past the runway in Bangor, and they had to turn their lights out at night during the Cold War. Right. It's every generation has had it, and I guess you and I are in a similar generation, and we maybe haven't had to deal with that. And now's our turn, and it's the beauty to it is that it is finite. Even though it seems like 300 days is a long time, there is an end. And who knows when that end will be, but there is an end, and we can do it. And the way to help motivate ourselves is to think of each other.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you have to be selfish in terms of taking care of yourself, but also by being selfish, you're taking care of others.
Right. And so, again, I want to go back. Even though right now things seem difficult, our communities have done that for the vast majority of the time, and that's why we were open all fall. That's why we were able to have a tourist season this year. Right. On this island. People were able to. I mean, people's businesses took a hit, and it wasn't the type of hit that people feared it was going to be, because the frontline workers did the things that they needed to do to keep each other and themselves safe. And the summer and fall were pretty good. And now it's dark times, and I do think it's important to keep that in mind. And also perspective is important. I was talking with a teacher yesterday who has a relative who is a teacher in another state who has been that area has been experiencing about 9,000 positive cases a day just in that county. And we've had some 20,000 in Maine ever. So that's not to diminish. 20,000 is a big number. And in Maine, I think we're physically distant from some of the bigger hotspots, which certainly helps. And I think in Maine, our communities have pulled together to make the sacrifices, and we can just keep doing that for each other, and we can hopefully not experience the horrors and the mass chaos that's happening in some of the other parts of our country.
For the kids who are now 100% remote learning, I mean, most of the bugs, I think, have been worked out because you've been in that hybrid situation. So everybody should have, at least at the high school level, good internet access. They should have their computers at home. they should have all their learning devices. So they're used to logging in, as opposed to the elementary and middle schools that, I mean, the teachers there I know have been doing yeoman's work trying to get learning bags and everything put together for pickup today on Tuesday.
Yes, it's always interesting to look at the differences between the primary grades and the middle schools and the high school, and how the challenges are different. But the common theme is that it's really hard to be an educator right now. It's really complicated. Hard is just that. Hard is way too simple a word. It's complicated and it's complex, and it's exceedingly important that they're able to continue to do that. And our educators in our community have just been shining lights, and I think that's also true. I talk to my principal colleagues around the state. I think it's true of educators in Maine are really stepping up and making the best of a situation that is certainly not something we hope to experience again.
If kids are feeling isolated, they should be reaching out to teachers. They should be reaching out to the school nurses. What advice do you have for those kids?
Well, the advice I would have is we're towards the end of a semester, so they've known their teachers in lots of different capacities since at least September. Many of them know their guidance counselor well. The freshmen may not have had as much of a chance to do that yet. Everybody at the high school has an advisor. There is an adult who knows you as a student. You may not recognize that as the student. You may not know how much they think about you and how much they know about you. So it should never feel awkward to reach out to one of those adults, because they will appreciate it so much that you have said, hey, it could be as simple as, I'm not sure, like, I'm getting all these emails and Google Classroom's choking up my email, and I'm missing emails you send directly to me. How do I deal with that? I mean, that's a common, some seemingly simple, but really difficult problem. It's I'm feeling lonely, or I'm worried about my sister, or any of those things. If you reach out to any of the people that you know here at the school, they will help you with it, or if they can't help you with it, they know exactly who can.
I guess the most important thing to do is to reach out.
Yes, and or the school principal is always a good person to talk to.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, getting called to the principal's office sometimes isn't bad. I mean, you and I have had great conversations.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I guess that's the most important thing, is that even though you're at home, you're not alone. And there are people who are able and willing to help you.
Oh gosh, they're just yearning to help. That's the beauty of it. So I thank you for bringing that up. That was another cliche that came and went. It was like, we're all in this together. Well, cliches come from a place of reality. That's what it is. We really are. We're all experiencing this together, and the better off, you never know, you may actually be helping somebody by asking them for help, because it helps them to feel important and connected themselves.
Yeah, and I think, even though we're not encouraging you to go visit your friend at their house, you can go out and reach out to them on Zoom. You can, I mean, there are all these, FaceTiming them, using Alexa, now Alexa's going to talk, but whatever capacity you have, it's so important that you reach out to your classmates and your friends, your family, your neighbors. And if you are out physically, wear a mask. I mean,
Yep.
Try and stay socially distant. I think come September, October, nobody's going to be able to go down the street without being hugged or having their hands shaken. But I mean, we just have to, for everyone's sake, just avoid that now.
Yeah, again, it's finite. It's finite. We will get to the other side of this thing.
Okay. Anything you want to add? Anything, messages?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go back to one of the messages that I have always tried to share. Like maybe it's the PE teacher in me. One of the best ways to fight off isolation and the feeling of the walls closing in around you, which is a danger in January anyway, get outside, be physically active. Those things are even more important than ever, especially in times when you're spending your whole day or much of your day looking at a screen, sitting at a desk, more than normal. I agree. This technology is an incredible blessing because imagine how isolated we would be without it. And it also causes us to sit around an awful lot. So get outside.
Well, I know that's one thing you did mention when you talked about the blocks. So I guess you had 4 blocks throughout the day, and in between block 2 and block 3, turn off your computer, go outside, go play with a dog, I mean, go build a snowman, go, whatever it is, go do sit-ups, God forbid. But I mean, do whatever, go work up a sweat, go knit, just get away from the computer. So that way, you are able to come back refreshed and ready to go for the second part of the day.
Yep. It's important for your learning and it's important just for your health.
I mean, I'm blessed to having 3 Great Danes in the house. I mean, they come and check in on me. They go run outside, then they come. You can hear one coming now, but they'll come and it's like they physically come check on me. It's like, all right, I need a little rub. That's good for you. That's good for me. And then we're ready to go out and play again. But you've got to do that so that way you just stay mentally and emotionally and physically in the game.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's stay in touch. I
Yeah.
hope to see you soon, and we'll go from there.
That sounds good. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.